Okay, welcome to Lunch and Learn. This is reporting training session 3, and we're going to talk about bulk registrations. And I'm glad you're all here with me today. So we have gone over adding adults and children or searching for adults and children. And so when you get those registration slips, whether they're printed from our constant contact entries or if participants fill out the half sheets, those are, you want to make sure those are all entered. The other thing that we didn't talk about, but we will right now, is mailing lists. So we're just going to pull up Gina's name here. She's our special person today. And if you click on the tab here, mailing lists, these are all the mailing lists that Gina is currently subscribed to. But we have quite the variety. So each district has their own mailing list. The one that says one mailing list, UPC newsletter, that's a hard copy mailing list that we haven't used in more years than I like to count. So we just add everybody to the eConnections one. Family to Family Network. There's also the UPC Spanish. That's Spanish speakers who want to receive their information in Spanish can be added to that list. And there will be some updates to this list. We're going to add some the charters and transition and some others. So, just so watch those lists carefully. But if you're working on entries, you want to make sure it will automatically join them to the UPC Connections, the main mailing list. But if they're in a district, we want to make sure we add those so they're getting that information specific to their area.
So when you enter them into Pix, it's going to automatically put them in?
When you enter them into Pix, it'll automatically add them to the main listserv. Okay. But then any of the sub listservs, then you would want to click that for them. Okay. Because we do, in staff, typically what happens when every email we send out, it gets copied to staff. So, but you may get 3 or 4 emails from coming out of the center in a day, but that doesn't mean everybody is. Tooele might get one, and Canyons might get one, and Alpine might get one in one day, but they only go to people in those areas. If that makes sense.
But everybody in staff gets all of them.
Yeah, so that way, and we do send them out everything to staff, so you kind of have an idea of, if people call or you're talking to somebody, you know that that's a thing out there. So for bulk registration, it has to do with events. So we're going to go ahead and do a search for an event. And it's today's event. So there are no matching records for today. So we're going to add an event. Now you can all watch me type poorly. And you would pick your, whatever grant it is. And your event, if you may get a folder that your that may not be yours, and it's probably already entered. So we always want to search first. You can search by date of the event, which I found to be the most effective, but it is month, day, for number, year to search for an event. Otherwise, it won't come up. And you can also search by, if you can't remember what day it was, but it was transition, you can search by that, but the list will be long. So, and our event starts today, and it also ends today. Ooh, we just got a little bigger. And then your time can go in here. Yeah, Maria noted that each district can search by their district too, by their district name, if they put that in when they enter, which is helpful. So for events, the city, I put statewide because this training actually affects us statewide, even though we are local. And the level is my name. And I could do an evaluation, but it doesn't really matter in here. So once you do that part, you can come over to the counts and I can enter my head count. So I'm going to say there's 16 and my multicultural. In this scenario, we're all professionals. And I'm not giving out any materials, but here for an event, this is where you would insert materials. And I know every one of us gives out workshop handouts at every event, but it's amazing that we only counted 100 of them last year. So if you print the PowerPoints, that's a workshop handout. So that goes right here. And then you could enter if you gave what else you gave out when you do an event. So I'm going to save this summary. Okay, I could come back to registrants. And I have updated everyone's PICS accessibility to be able to do bulk registration for events. So when you get a folder and you've made sure all the people are in PICS and they're on the mailing list and all of that, you come back to your event, go to bulk registration, and I'm just going to start. So I have Esperanza. Their comments. This is so much easier to do it this way than to enter one by one. And for staff, it's kind of interesting. A lot of us are in here twice because we have our personal accounts and our work accounts. So, and I'm just going to keep going. Hi, Selena. I didn't see you sneak in. I know, I just missed him. So the longer part to do is to enter them into the system. This actually doesn't take very long if they're all in there. And I will tell you that they're not always in there. Look, I'm not even coming up. Probably because it's already me, but, oh, there I am. Ooh. And so I just put the wrong Cassandra in. You just pop right over here and hit delete because that happens. I do that, especially on this little keyboard. And we'll add Elise. And Christine Evans. Okay. Okay, so did I miss anybody? Oh, sorry. You all see I do have my reading glasses on. Okay, so what you have is a list of everybody who's attending. And so then so intake date is today. You'll know which grant to put. This is a staff training. I put it under all. Don't use that category. And then intake type. You attended an event. And the contact event was just other events. This is an event. Meetings are events. Unless you're at a school, meetings are events. School meetings, IEP meetings, those go under the parents. Yeah, but a committee meeting of any kind is an event. So you just fill out that contact method. Oh. Not only am I breaking up, please tell me I didn't lose.
We still show. Oh, it's cool.
I got kicked out of Pix for some reason, so
You're being too efficient.
So I'm going to go to events and see what it saved. I did type in the date. So once you fill all that out and then you say, okay, submit at the bottom, what it does is and I'm just going to do one. I'm just going to do a couple so you can see. I was still recording. I just lost the internet screen. So hopefully online you can hear me again. And so I'll just show you. So there's two. So right here you can click the button that says create attendees. And then I've got Jody on there twice. So if you'll see over here on this part right here, it says you're registered. So we have to go in and click that you actually attended. And right here, I'm going to say cancel. Sarah has a comment.
There's a new update at the bottom. You can click on the side, you can click the box on the side of the names, and you can mass update.
Oh yeah, you can. That's right.
As far as I know.
So you can click here. And then
At the bottom. All the way to the screen.
Oh, right here.
Yeah.
Change status of selected registrants to
Yeah, and that's new.
attended.
And that's if everybody attended, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you only
But then you
click the
can
ones.
click like the one or two.
Oh.
So the wonderful part of once this is done, our records will pull that 2 parents attended, their child's disability, and their age of their child. So this is where we get really good data about who's attending our workshops or events. Ashley has a question, and I'll repeat that when she's done.
Okay, so in the folder that we're gonna get, some of them, we put them in as an event, and then we'll have a list showing who actually attended, so we'll.
Correct, you should. So in the folders that you get, and I will go over this briefly again at the staff meeting on when you get them, you'll have a list of everyone who attended and a list of everybody who just registered. I like to get them in, even if they registered but didn't attend, we do want to make sure they're in our mailing list because at least they were interested. So, Sarah has another comment?
I do have a comment, sorry. There have been some questions directed to the admin staff lately for clarification about the event registrations. So we give you the event registration list, and it's just got the name of the person who registered and if they're bringing a guest, and then a check spot. But then there have been people also who are still making people fill out the half sheet registration form. And the half sheet registration form is not needed by us if we've given you the checklist and if their name is on the checklist. The only time we need the half sheet registration is if
They're
they
not.
have not got their name on the checklist.
Right.
Okay. All of the information on the checklist is it's just a sign-in sheet. There's no personal information other than names. So it's
We forego for part. So if people register, when they register online, that data is the exact same data that is on the half sheet. So we encourage people to register online so that they don't have to do that on the day of the event. But if they're not on your list for some reason, and occasionally they will have registered but not ended up on your list, maybe they registered at the last minute or, something, I would go ahead and have them fill it out. When you get the folders, you'll get a printout of the online registrations as well as the half sheets. So you'll have both of those to look at, and then you'll have the checklist of who actually attended. And I'm sure there will be questions, and Sarah, Kat, and I are all available for questions as you start that, especially do your first one and then it'll be clear as mud. So does anybody else have, Ashley has another question.
Are most of them going to be statewide?
The events? Not necessarily.
Is it gonna specify
If,
whether it's gonna be urban or?
yes. As I prepare your folders, we'll look at that. I still have 2 weeks to have those ready, so. It is not the 16th yet, so I haven't looked at them. Okay, do we have any online questions?
Somebody asked to repeat Sarah's original comments.
So Sarah's original comment, just again, was you can, using this change status of selected registrants, is right here. So select the people you that registered, that attended, and then you can just right here in this bottom corner, change status, click over to attended, and that'll just mark the ones who actually came. It's kind of good to know, we get a lot of people who, not so much right now, but in the past when we've had limited space in guardianship, especially classes, I really liked us to have even the people who registered but didn't attend, because, if you can look back and go, well, you registered and took spots 3 different times, but never attended. And I get that families are complex and complicated, but that was 1 or 2 spots that they took from somebody else multiple times. So, we might not bend over backwards to get them in to the next class. And I think it's good when we're talking, as consultants are talking to parents, to see kind of that pattern, We've sent them all this information. We've offered them all these classes. They've registered. Have they gone? Have they accessed and used the information that we've already provided to them? That's why my personal thought is that knowing whether that they Go away. Whether they attended is good.
Question from Maria. I don't know, Trey.
I think she said she had to go.
She has a question about emailing those folders.
Oh,
At the very end.
yeah, Maria, we'll talk about how we could do that electronically. The folders aren't necessarily something we can email. I mean, we could scan an email, but it wouldn't be something you could cut and paste out of. So we'll talk about how we can do that for each person.
And the folder's gonna have a check-in sheet and the forms you talked about, and what else?
The evaluations, probably. Okay, well, for me, that's it. That's all I have for today. So thank you for participating, and we'll get those out to everybody in 2 weeks. Thanks. Bye.
Are you really done? Was that a trick?